In 1974, Muhammad Ali was training at a gym in Chicago when a 300-pound professional strongman walked up to him and said, "Muscle beats speed. Always has, always will. Your punches wouldn't hurt me." 20 seconds later, that strongman was on his knees gasping for air and apologizing profusely. What happened in those 20 seconds didn't just embarrass a strongman. It proved a principle that changed how people understood combat sports forever. This is the story of the day Muhammad Ali demolished the myth that size and strength trump speed and skill, and the man who learned that lesson the hard way was Magnus Johansson, a Swedish strongman who had never been in a real fight in his life. If this story moves you, subscribe for more moments that prove it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the speed, intelligence, and skill of the dog that matters most. Summer 1974, Muhammad Ali was in Chicago preparing for his historic rematch with George Foreman, the famous Rumble in the Jungle, that would take place in Zaire that October. Ali was training at Johnny Coulon's gym on the south side of Chicago, a legendary boxing facility that had produced champions for decades. The gym was packed that day with professional boxers, trainers, local tough guys, and curious spectators, all watching the former heavyweight champion prepare for what many believed would be the most important fight of his career. When Muhammad Ali trained, people showed up not just to watch him hit the bag or spar, but to watch him perform, because Ali turned every training session into a show. Magnus Johansson was not there to watch a show. He was there to prove a point. Magnus was a professional strongman, standing 6'4", and weighing 300 pounds of solid muscle. He competed in strength competitions across Europe and the United States, and his credentials were genuinely impressive. He could deadlift over 700 pounds, bend steel bars with his bare hands, and pull trucks with chains attached to his body. By any measurable standard, he was one of the strongest men in the world, and he believed that made him virtually unbeatable in any physical confrontation. Magnus had been doing a strongman demonstration at a Chicago venue the night before, showcasing his incredible feats of strength to an amazed crowd. Afterward, at a local bar, someone had asked him the question that would change his life. Could you beat Muhammad Ali in a fight? Magnus had laughed. A deep, confident laugh that filled the bar. A boxer. Please, boxers rely on speed and fancy footwork. Speed doesn't matter when you have real strength. One punch from me would put Ali down permanently. His punches wouldn't even hurt me. I'm too strong. A local boxing coach who had been listening to the conversation said quietly, "You should tell him that." Magnus, drunk on confidence and possibly actual alcohol, had responded, "Maybe I will." The next day, Magnus showed up at Johnny Coulon's gym wearing a strongman competition tank top that showcased arms the size of most people's legs and shoulders that seemed to span half the width of the doorway. He walked directly up to where Ali was wrapping his hands, preparing to work the heavy bag. "Muhammad Ali," Magnus said in his thick Swedish accent, his voice carrying across the suddenly quiet gym. Ali looked up and smiled, that famous, disarming Ali smile. "That's me. What can I do for you, big man?" "I have a question for you," Magnus said, his massive arms crossed over his chest. "Do you think you could hurt me?" Ali's smile got wider. He loved this kind of interaction. The unexpected challenges, the opportunities to educate and entertain simultaneously. "Hurt you? Brother, I don't even know you. Why would I want to hurt you?" "I mean in a fight," Magnus clarified, his voice growing louder. "If we fought, do you think your punches would actually hurt me?" The gym got completely quiet. Every boxer, trainer, and spectator stopped what they were doing to listen. This wasn't typical gym banter. This was a direct challenge to Muhammad Ali from a man who looked like he could lift a car. Ali stood up slowly, his eyes studying Magnus with the calculating gaze of a man who had faced every type of opponent imaginable. Ali was 6'3" and about 215 pounds at the time, big for a boxer, but he looked almost small standing next to Magnus's 300 pounds of muscle. "Why you asking?" Ali said calmly. "Because I don't think they would," Magnus replied confidently. "I think muscle beats speed, always. I'm stronger than you, much stronger. Your speed wouldn't matter because you couldn't generate enough power to hurt me." Now, most people would have been offended by this or gotten angry. But Ali just smiled bigger, recognizing an opportunity to teach a lesson that went far beyond boxing. "You a fighter?" Ali asked. "I'm a strongman," Magnus said proudly. "Professional. I compete all over the world." "That ain't what I asked," Ali said gently. "I asked if you were a fighter. Have you ever been in an actual fight?" Magnus hesitated for the first time. "No, but I don't need to be." I'm strong enough that. Brother, Ali interrupted, let me teach you something. Come here. Ali walked over to the heavy bag hanging from the ceiling, a solid 100-pound bag that had been pummeled by countless fighters over the years. Everyone in the gym had stopped their training to watch this unprecedented moment unfold. You see this bag? Ali said, pointing to the heavy bag. Hit it as hard as you can. Magnus smiled. This was exactly what he wanted. A chance to demonstrate his overwhelming power. He stepped up to the bag, planted his feet wide like a powerlifter approaching a deadlift, wound up his massive arm like he was pulling back a battering ram, and threw a punch with everything he had. Thud. The sound echoed through the gym like a gunshot. The bag flew backward violently, swinging in a wide arc before returning. It was genuinely impressive, the kind of raw power that could knock down a wall. Good, Ali said, nodding appreciatively. Real good. You're strong. I can see that. Now watch this. Ali stepped up to the bag with completely different energy. He didn't wind up like Magnus had. He didn't plant his feet in a wide stance. He just stood there, relaxed and natural, and threw a quick snapping punch. Pop, then another. Pop, then a third. Pop, pop, pop. 3 punches in less than a second. The bag barely moved with each individual punch, but the sound was different, sharper, faster, like a whip cracking. And then Ali threw a combination. Left jab, right cross, left hook, so fast his hands were a blur. The bag exploded backward, spinning on its chain, moving faster and more violently than when Magnus had hit it with all his strength. But more importantly, Ali's feet had never stopped moving. He circled the bag, hitting it from different angles, and the bag had no time to settle or recover. It looked like the bag was being attacked by 3 people at once. Ali stopped, breathing easily, and turned to Magnus. You moved the bag with 1 big punch, Ali said conversationally. I moved it with 10 punches before you could blink. Now, in a fight, which do you think is more dangerous? Magnus frowned, his confidence wavering for the first time. But my punch was stronger. Was it? Ali said. Come here, put your hand on the bag. Magnus placed his massive palm against the heavy bag, holding it still. Keep it there. Ali instructed. Don't let it move. Magnus, with all his incredible strength, braced himself against the bag, using his 300 pounds and power lifter's technique to keep it absolutely motionless. Ali threw a quick combination, not even full power, just fast, snapping punches. Magnus's hand couldn't keep the bag still. The vibration ran up his arm, and even with all his strength, the bag moved and shook. Strength can't stop speed, Ali said simply. Because strength needs time to work, and speed doesn't give you time. Magnus was getting frustrated now, his face reddening. But in a real fight, I could just grab you. You're fast, but if I get my hands on you, Ali said, his eyes twinkling. That's a big if, brother. Want to find out? Everyone in the gym went completely silent. Magnus, backed into a corner by his own big mouth and wounded pride, said, yes. Ali clapped his hands together. Okay, let's do it. We'll spar, light contact, just for learning. I'm not trying to hurt you, I'm trying to teach you. That okay? Magnus nodded, though he was starting to look less confident than when he'd walked in. Ali's trainer Angelo Dundee tried to intervene. Champ, this isn't a good idea. He's not a fighter. He could get hurt. That's exactly why we're going light, Ali said. Educational purposes only. They cleared a space in the middle of the gym. Someone gave Magnus a mouthpiece. They didn't bother with headgear or gloves. This was going to be quick and instructional. Ali and Magnus faced each other in the center of the cleared space. Magnus was bigger, more muscular, more physically imposing in every measurable way. Ali was relaxed, almost bored, looking like he was about to demonstrate a basic technique to a beginner. When you're ready, Ali said calmly, try to hit me. Magnus threw a punch. A big, looping overhand right with all his strength behind it. The kind of punch that would have knocked out most men if it had landed. It didn't land. Ali wasn't there anymore. He had leaned back about 3 inches, and Magnus's fist sailed harmlessly past his face. While Magnus was off balance from missing, Ali tapped him with a light jab to the nose. Not hard, just a tap, like he was ringing a doorbell. That's one, Ali said conversationally. Magnus threw again, a left hook this time, putting his entire body weight behind it. Ali ducked under it easily, came back up, and tapped Magnus twice in the ribs while Magnus's arm was still extended from the missed punch. That's 3, Ali counted. Magnus, growing more frustrated, tried to implement the strategy he'd mentioned earlier, grabbing Ali. He lunged forward with his massive arms outstretched, trying to hug the elusive boxer. Ali sidestepped like he was dancing at a party, and as Magnus stumbled forward from his own momentum, Ali tapped him gently on the back of the head. 4. Magnus was breathing hard now, and they were only 10 seconds into the demonstration. He had thrown 4 punches with everything he had. Ali had landed 4 punches without even breathing hard. "You see the problem?" Ali said, still moving, still light on his feet, talking like they were having a casual conversation. "You're trying to hit one target. I'm hitting you from everywhere." Magnus, completely frustrated now, threw a wild combination. Right, left, right. Anything to connect with this impossibly elusive target. Ali slipped the first 2 punches like he was dodging raindrops, blocked the third with his glove, and then, while Magnus was completely extended and off balance from his desperate flurry, Ali threw a single body shot. It wasn't full power. Ali was still being educational rather than destructive, but it was the first real punch Ali had thrown. A short, sharp hook to Magnus's ribs, perfectly placed and perfectly timed. Magnus's eyes went wide. The air left his body in a whoosh like a punctured balloon. He stumbled backward, dropped to one knee, gasping for breath and clutching his side. The entire gym was silent except for the sound of Magnus trying to breathe. 20 seconds. That's all it had taken. 20 seconds for Muhammad Ali to completely dismantle a 300-pound professional strongman without even trying, without breaking a sweat, without showing any sign of effort whatsoever. Ali walked over calmly, extended his hand, and helped Magnus to his feet. "You okay, brother?" Magnus, still gasping, managed to nod. "What was that?" "That was speed," Ali said simply. "And technique, and timing. All the things that matter more than muscle in a real fight." Magnus's face was red, partly from exertion but mostly from embarrassment. The most physically powerful man in the gym had just been completely dominated by someone 85 pounds lighter than him. "I couldn't touch you," Magnus said, still catching his breath. "No," Ali agreed matter-of-factly. "You couldn't. And you know why? Because you were trying to hit me with power. But power is slow. By the time you decided to throw a punch, I had already seen it coming and moved. You were fighting in the future. I was fighting in the present." Magnus sat down heavily on a bench, still holding his ribs where Ali had hit him. "That one punch. How did it hurt so much? I've been hit harder in strongman competitions." Ali sat down next to him, his voice taking on the tone of a teacher rather than a competitor. "Have you, though? Or have you been hit by bigger punches? There's a difference, brother. Strength alone doesn't create impact. Speed plus precision creates impact. You hit me with strength, but you hit the air because you missed. I hit you with speed and timing, and my power went exactly where it needed to go." Magnus nodded slowly, beginning to understand. "I see what you mean." "Do you?" Ali said. "Because I want to make sure you really understand. This isn't about me being better than you as a person. You're incredibly strong. You do things I could never do. But fighting isn't a strength competition. It's a speed competition, a thinking competition, a timing competition. Strength matters, but it's like 4th on the list." Magnus was quiet for a moment, absorbing this lesson. Then he said quietly, "I apologize. I was arrogant. I thought because I was strong, I understood fighting. I was completely wrong." Ali stood up and addressed the whole gym, using this moment as a teaching opportunity for everyone present. "See, this is what people don't understand about boxing," Ali announced. "They think it's about how hard you hit, but it's about how many times you hit, and how accurately you hit. It's about hitting without getting hit back. You can have all the muscles in the world, but if you can't land a punch, those muscles don't matter." Then Ali turned back to Magnus, his voice becoming personal again. "You're strong, maybe the strongest man I've ever met. But in a fight, I would beat you in seconds, just like I did. Not because I'm better than you as a person, not because strength isn't valuable, but because this." Ali gestured around the boxing gym. "This is my world. Strength competitions are your world. You're the master there, I'm the master here. You understand?" Magnus stood up and extended his hand with genuine respect. "I understand, and I apologize. I was arrogant. I thought because I could deadlift 700 pounds, I could fight. I was completely wrong." Ali shook his hand firmly. "You weren't wrong to be confident. Confidence is good. You were just confident about the wrong thing. Now you know better." What nobody realized until years later was that a young filmmaker named Leon Gast was in the gym that day, testing camera equipment for his upcoming documentary about Ali's fight with Foreman. He had set up a camera on a tripod in the corner, and it had been recording the entire encounter. The footage sat in Gast's archives for decades. In 1996, when Gast released his documentary, When We Were Kings, about the Ali-Foreman fight, some of that extra footage made it into the special features. The 20-second sparring session between Ali and Magnus became a cult classic among boxing enthusiasts and sports fans. Magnus Johansson went on to have a successful strongman career, winning multiple competitions across Europe. But he never again claimed that strength beats speed. In fact, in interviews later in his career, he would always tell the story of sparring with Ali. "People ask me all the time if I could beat a boxer because I'm so strong," Magnus said in a 2003 interview. "I tell them what Muhammad Ali taught me is strength without speed is a parked car. It looks impressive, but it's not going anywhere. Speed without strength is a bicycle, it's efficient and effective. But speed with strength, that's a race car." That's what Ali had. Not just speed, not just strength, but both combined with intelligence. That's why he was the greatest. The lesson that Magnus learned in 20 seconds echoes through combat sports to this day. Size matters, strength matters, but speed, timing, and technique matter more. A smaller, faster, smarter fighter will beat a bigger, stronger, slower fighter almost every time. Ali proved this principle throughout his entire career. He beat Sonny Liston, who was bigger and stronger. He beat George Foreman, who hit harder than almost anyone in history. He defeated every bigger, stronger opponent he faced by being faster, smarter, and more skilled. There's a reason Ali called himself the greatest. It wasn't just confidence or showmanship. It was accuracy. He wasn't the strongest heavyweight, he wasn't the biggest, but he was the fastest, the smartest, and the most skilled. And in fighting, as Magnus learned the hard way, that's what matters most. The strongman who walked into Johnny Coulon's gym that day thinking muscle beats speed walked out knowing that speed, combined with skill and intelligence, beats everything else. Muhammad Ali had given him a 20-second education that changed not only how he thought about fighting, but how he thought about the nature of true strength itself. In those 20 seconds, Ali didn't just win a sparring session. He proved a principle that defines combat sports to this day. It's not about the size of the dog in the fight, it's about the speed, intelligence, and skill of the dog that determines victory. And Muhammad Ali, he knew exactly how to use all three.